The workshop hummed with the steady rhythm of calibration tools and the occasional hiss of hydraulic systems. Jace wiped the grease from his hands, squinting at the malfunctioning thruster assembly that had consumed his entire day. 14 hours. 14 straight hours hunched over circuitry and fuel lines, troubleshooting a problem that shouldn't have existed in the first place. He'd skipped lunch, then dinner. It wasn't intentional, just the way time slipped away when you were 3 levels deep in a repair that could mean the difference between a functioning outpost and a frozen tomb on the edge of Rigel space. The Velnar cubs, 5 of them, all assigned to his engineering detail, had watched him work with their characteristic wide-eyed intensity. The Velnar were a feline species, bipedal and covered in soft fur that ranged from silver to deep amber. Their young, called cubs until their 20th cycle, were smaller than humans, with oversized ears that twitched at every sound and tails that betrayed every emotion. Jace had grown fond of them over the past 6 months. They were eager, curious, and surprisingly competent once you got past their tendency to treat every minor issue like a catastrophic emergency. Engineer Jace. Tyrion's voice carried that slight tremor it always had when he was worried. The eldest cub stood in the doorway, his silver fur bristling slightly. You did not attend evening rations. Yeah, been busy. Jace gestured at the thruster assembly. This thing's been fighting me all day. I'll grab something later. Tyrion's ears flattened against his skull. His tail, usually held high with youthful confidence, drooped. You also missed midday rations, did I? Jace checked his chronometer and winced. 2100 hours. Huh, guess I did. Don't worry about it, Tyrion, I'm fine. But Tyrion didn't look reassured. If anything, the cub looked more alarmed. His pupils had dilated to full moons, and his whiskers were pulled back tight against his muzzle. The Velnar equivalent of pure panic. You haven't eaten in 13 hours, Tyrion whispered, as if speaking the words too loudly might make the situation worse. It's not that big a deal, Jace said, returning his attention to the thruster. Humans can go a lot longer than that without food. I once pulled a 40-hour repair shift back on Europa with nothing but coffee and spite. The sound Tyrion made was somewhere between a whimper and a yowl. Before Jace could ask what was wrong, the cub had bolted from the workshop. His footsteps echoed down the corridor at a dead sprint, and Jace could hear him calling out in the Velnar's trilling native language. That was weird, Jace muttered to himself. 30 minutes later, all 5 cubs burst into the workshop like a furry avalanche. They carried supply packs. Not their personal kit bags, but the official emergency supply packs, the ones that contained a week's worth of rations, medical supplies, and survival gear. Each pack weighed at least 15 kilos, nearly half what the cubs themselves weighed. Tyrion led the group, his face set with grim determination. Behind him, Kessa, Mern, Polo, and Little Vex struggled under the weight of their packs, but their expressions matched Tyrion's, fierce, protective, desperate. Engineer Jace, Tyrion announced, dropping his pack at Jace's feet with a heavy thud. We brought supplies. The other cubs followed suit, creating a small mountain of survival gear in the middle of the workshop. Vex, the smallest, had tears streaming down his fuzzy cheeks as he placed his pack down with shaking paws. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jace held up his hands. What's all this? You're dying, Kessa said flatly, her amber fur standing on end. You haven't eaten in 13 hours. Maybe more. We don't know when you last ate before today. I'm not... Velnar begin organ failure at 8 hours without food, Mern interrupted, his voice cracking. 9 hours is often fatal. You're at 13. Understanding crashed over Jace like a cold wave. The Velnar were obligate carnivores with hyperactive metabolisms. They needed to eat every 4 to 6 hours or risk serious medical complications. To them, missing 2 meals wasn't just unusual, it was a death sentence. Guys, humans are different. We know you're different. Tyrion's voice rose and his claws extended involuntarily. We know humans are strange and confusing and nothing like the manuals say. But we won't let you die because you're too stubborn to eat. Vex had dissolved into full sobs, his tiny shoulders shaking. Please don't die, Engineer Jace, please. Jace's heart clenched. These cubs had given him half their emergency supplies they might genuinely need in this remote outpost. Supplies that regulations said they couldn't access without a direct order from their commander. They'd risked disciplinary action, maybe worse, because they thought he was dying. He knelt down, bringing himself to eye level with the group. Listen to me. I appreciate this more than you know. But humans can go days without food, weeks even if we have water. 13 hours is nothing. I promise you, I'm not dying. 5 pairs of enormous eyes stared at him with undisguised skepticism. Days? Polo whispered. That's impossible. It's not impossible. It's just how we're built. Jace smiled gently. Humans evolved to be endurance hunters. We're designed to keep going when other species would collapse. Our bodies are really good at rationing energy. But you haven't eaten, Kessa protested weakly. And I'm fine. Watch. Jace stood up, stretched, did a little jump. See, not dying, not even slightly dizzy. Tyrion's ears were still flat, but some of the panic had left his eyes. You're...
Truly all right?
Truly. Jace placed a hand on Tyrion's shoulder. But you know what? I am hungry. And I'd hate for you guys to have dragged all these packs here for nothing. How about we crack one open and share some rations? I'll tell you more about human endurance abilities. The transformation was immediate. Tails shot up, ears perked forward, and Vex's crying stopped mid-sob. Really? The smallest cub sniffled. Really? But only if you help me carry the rest of these packs back to supply. We'll tell the quartermaster it was a training exercise. As they shared vacuum-sealed ration bars and Jace explained the concept of fasting, marathon running, and that one time a human named Terrare ate an entire meal meant for 15 people, the cubs listened with rapt attention. Their fear had transformed into fascination. So when humans say they're starving, Tyran said slowly, they're usually exaggerating? 99% of the time, yeah. Humans are terrifying, Myrn breathed. Jace laughed. Maybe. But you guys are pretty amazing too. You know what you did today? You put your crewmate's life above regulations, above your own safety margins. That's not terrifying. That's courage. Tyran's chest puffed out slightly and his tail curled with pride. From that day forward, the cubs never panicked when Jace skipped a meal. But they did start keeping energy bars in their pockets just in case, and Jace? He made sure to eat more regularly, not because he needed to, but because he'd learned something important about the cubs. They weren't just his crew. They were family, and family takes care of each other, even when they don't quite understand each other's biology. Human endurance might be extraordinary, but the capacity of 5 young Velnar hearts? That was something truly special.